I suggested earlier that Psalms 120 through 134 work together to provide us a glimpse of our journey as Christians towards the heavenly Jerusalem. And in Psalm 120, the writer in these songs of ascent expresses his frustration over living in a world that is hostile to God, among people who lie, who have rejected his revelation, and have decided not to bow to his rule. In Psalm 121, a writer interacts with a group of people. I suggested earlier that in these Psalms, we will see this interaction between one who speaks for David or even David himself and the people who respond back to that person or to David. And so in Psalm 121, even though this psalm is anonymous, so to speak, it is not specifically identified David as being the speaker. In Psalm 122, as you look down towards the bottom, here it is, we will look in the future. David is identified as the speaker there. And so in Psalms 120 and 121, even though David is not specifically identified as the speaker, they appear to link to David's voice as expressed in Psalm 122. So it is not far off, I think, to view Psalms 120 and 121 as also being Psalms of David. But if they are not specifically of David, they are the voice that tries to understand his perspective. And so David begins by realizing that his help as he journeys towards Jerusalem in order to worship God in accordance to God's command to his people Israel, as David journeyed towards that destination, he realizes that his help comes only from the Lord. And he also calls, or rather, the people respond, calling back to him that indeed God will watch over him over the entire journey. The people also tell David and remind him, even as they try to identify with David, that not only will the Lord watch over him, them, during this entire journey, but that he will protect them and ultimately he will come under their care. Not only that, but the people speak back to David that this protection will last for eternity. I think of Matthew 28, 19 and 20, where Jesus tells his disciples that he has been given all authority to proclaim the gospel through them, to rule over all of heaven and earth as a result of his dying and resurrecting in behalf of all the world. And so Jesus, in that passage in Matthew, commissions his disciples, his apostles, to go forward and to make disciples of all people. Jesus promises that he will be with them always to the very end of the age. And you can see at the end of Psalm 121 that David anticipates, and the people with him anticipate that God will be with them. This does not mean that all of their problems will easily be solved. It does not mean that they will never have difficulties or challenges. It simply means that in the larger scope of what God is doing in all believers' lives, even as the people of Israel looks forward to it, God will be with his people. And we believers in Jesus Christ now can be absolutely assured that God is with us always, no matter what, in every situation, that his protection ultimately will lead us to the goal to which Jesus has led us and is leading us to live with him and to reign with him for eternity. I ask you, in whom are you seeking your help? In whom are you trusting for protection? In whom do you believe that you will find security and peace? It is only in Jesus Christ. Believer in Jesus Christ, remember that. Put your faith in him. Continue to walk in him. Non-believer, come to him, receive him, trust in him, because it is only in Jesus Christ that you will find ultimate protection and peace.